Hello and welcome to episode 48 of FPL Journey to 10K. But I'm actually going to stop there because we were FPL Journey to 10K and we're still known as that, but we are part of the way through a rebrand. You'll see a new logo during this episode. You'll see hopefully a bit of new design, but we are still, regardless of the name change and the rebrand, the only podcast and series that delves into the minds of one of the greatest players to ever play the game. I say this every week. I'm going to say it again. 9 seasons, 8 top 25k finishes, 5 top 5k finishes, and a former world number one. It is, of course, at FPL Corbs by co-host Matthew Corbridge. Matt, how are you? Have you enjoyed your bank holiday?
Yeah, I'm very good, mate. I'm very good, my friend. Good, relaxing bank holiday. Lots of great sport. Kind of really interesting week from an FPL point of view as well. I'm enjoying the new season so far. So, yeah, so far so good. How are you?
Okay, yeah, similar to you. Had a decent FPL week, which we'll come on to. Better than the first week, I think. But I'm just, I live in Edinburgh. The fringe has come to an end, so it does mean it's not going to take me double the amount of time to get anywhere I want to walk to going forward. So quite happy about that. Saw all the shows I wanted as well. I shouldn't complain having that on my doorstep, but it just get annoying when you live here, mate. So yeah, that's out the way. So back to normal, shall we
No,
say?
good,
Um,
good man. So you're FPL apprentice now. What's the thought process behind
FPL
that?
apprentice.
You just being
So
indecisive, or is there a bit of a master plan?
Well, yeah, we were at Fest as and for anybody that's new listening to us, hopefully we caught you there, but we were at Fest a couple of weeks ago, and I think it became quite apparent to us both that having the name was too long, right? People kind of recognized us but didn't know the name of the channel, and we were like, right, we need to change that. So we started having a chat between us, like what is the basic concept of the pod, and the idea is you're one of the elite players. You're in fantasy football fixers elite 11 as an example, whereas I'm a good player and I'll finish around somewhere between 50,000 and 200,000 usually. But the idea is you teach me how to be elite and finish in the top 10k. So we were like, well, I'm kind of your apprentice, right? So FPL Apprentice came to us. I'll be honest, it was mainly your idea, that one. Thank you for it. I'll take it. And that's where it came from.
I mean,
And
I just had to
hopefully it's a
make an
little bit more
intervention
memorable.
for the direction we were going, but no, it's I think yeah, like you said, we were speaking to a lot of like fellow FPL managers at Fantasy Football Fest, was really enjoyable, and it was like, yeah, no one quite nailed the name, so it was like, hey, we need to make it a little bit more simpler, and I think I
Exactly.
don't know, we're going to get ahead of the game because I think maybe that 10k target, that ambition might be obsolete pretty soon, right? It's getting tougher and tougher kind of each year,
Yeah.
supposedly anyway, to get. So like, hey, let's let's remove that
FPL.
artificial. We'll celebrate when you do get it, but like, let's remove that
Yeah.
artificial ambition. And yeah, like you said, I think it's going to be a process over the next couple of weeks, net. So like, yeah, bear
Exactly
with
that.
us whilst we change our
We'll get there.
aesthetic and names. But yeah, similar kind of chat, right? Same format.
Yeah,
So
it's it. Nothing's going to change. Everything's going to stay the same. FPL journey to 1 million. No, it's not. But yeah, and something happened last week, Matt. We broke for views. We broke 2,000 views for the first time ever. So if you are new to us, honestly, thank you so much. Like when we started this, we thought, you know what, it'd be me, you chatting, and maybe some half of our friends and family might listen in. We might get 20, 30 views if we get lucky. So to get over 2,000 on a video was mind blowing. So yeah,
No, yeah,
anybody that's
thank you
new,
guys. Yeah, yeah, very, very humbling. Like, so, yeah, thanks for listening to us. Just hang out, really, right? So, yeah,
yeah,
appreciate it.
well, thank you very much. And here's the first view of the new logo. No, it wasn't the. I'm going to work on the theme tune logo and get that sorted. If you're watching on YouTube, this will appear at some point. But that's it. Bit more simple. Just with Matt and Dave. I thought it was very formal with our surnames on there, Matt. So we got rid of that. And it's straight up FPL Apprentice with Matt and Dave. And you've got to have a picture of a football when it is an FPL podcast, right? I know you've seen it before, but you think it's better?
Looking clean, looking clean. You've kept true to your passion for orange.
Yeah, so that's my
Staying,
brand. My brand's
staying,
orange. I
staying true to your roots. I like it.
all about the orange. All about the orange. That's enough of that. Well, let's go on to
Yeah.
game week 2. You said at the beginning you had a good week. Talk us through it.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were going to do the honors, but yeah, like game week 2 for me. So I got a green arrow, so I think that's a positive. So I ended up with 77 points, which was it was 8 points above the average, which is really cool. So around about a 3 million game week rank. I kind of rose from like 3.9 million to like 2.2 million. So like nice direction of travel there. And I think I can generally I'm pretty pleased with the direction of travel. So I'll run through my team and then I'll share some kind of observations and whatnot. So yeah, Henderson for kind of 1 point. So I mean, yeah, I'll talk about my course in a second, but yeah, Henderson with 1 point, not ideal. Conser was always going to be a bit of a kind of like a 1 week punt here. He was just like, he just kind of like just came in out of necessity, really. So that's fine. Porro, got his clean sheet, which is kind of like surprising and cool. And then of course Robinson from Fulham got his attacking return and some bonus, which is really nice. Eze and Fernandez in the midfield blanked, but we'll talk about them kind of shortly. Salah and Gibbs White both got a goal and 2 bonus, which is pretty good. But I think Salah must have had 1 bonus, right? For kind of because he had a clean sheet point as well. But yeah, both ended up on they got a double digit horse, which is really nice. Isaac blanked, but then as well as did Mooney's up front, and then Haaland came through with his hat trick. And then my bench is a bit of a messy state, really. I've got kind of Barco and Quansah on there, and then Vinks kind of like getting his 2 points. So yeah, 77 overall. I mean, mate, do you want to go for your team? Any differences before we talk about kind of
Yeah,
like
can touch
player
on
by
that.
player observations?
Absolutely. There's only, I think, 2 changes in the starting 11 from the looks of it. I think my bench is slightly better. I've got Aina on there. He got 9, but I was never going to play him, so
Hmm.
I'll call that now because if I don't call that out, people will be like, "Well, why didn't you mention Aina on your bench?"
Hmm.
I was always going to play Robinson, Trent, and Porro, so just one of those things. And my defense didn't let me down. Clean sheet from Porro, assist from Robinson with a bonus point, and a clean sheet from one of my differences to you, which is Trent instead of Conser. Very
Yep.
happy with him. I'll come on to him in a second. But the other difference, you've got Bruno Fernandez, and I've got Murphy, and I felt for you, man. I thought Bruno had an assist, the Garnacho goal. What was Garnacho doing? I mean, Garnacho should have absolutely buried that. I know he instead of
Well,
did he
we
hit
did.
that
It was what's his name? The forward just for some
kneed
reason
it
from an
in
offside position kicked it in when it was already going into an
on
open
the
goal.
line?
So, um,
So I felt for you. I thought Bruno's at least got you something because he's deserved something. His stats have been absolutely solid, but just not over the line. There's Liverpool this weekend for him as well, I believe.
yeah. So we got similar teams and me. So
Yeah,
I think like I'll ask you got Murphy in your team
yeah,
as your fourth midfielder, which like stands out as a sore thumb as a
absolutely.
bit of an issue. Obviously, probably Newcastle have been worse than we expected, but they did have that red card after 20 minutes in game week 1, which is kind of like screwed them over a little bit. I mean, Murphy was always a bit of a weird punt, right? Given like he's
Yeah.
not a guaranteed starter and like he's not a great player. So, how do you feel about owning Murphy and like what are you gonna do?
Oh, horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous. You're right. I had 5.5 million left, and it was like, well, who do I get? And Smith Rowe was an option, but I had Muniz. Hudson-Odoi was an option, but I had Gibbs White. So I was
Hmm.
like, well, where do we go? And I saw Murphy's pre-season, and there's sometimes players that run that pre-season into it, right? And I thought
Yeah.
this guy's going to be start, and Newcastle had 2 nice fixtures to start the season. Fuck it, I'll punt on him, see what happens. He's never a long-term hold. But yeah, so could take off after 30 minutes in game week 1, took off after 57 minutes in game week 2. Expected goal involvement in both those games, Matt? 0.01. He's
Yeah.
also dropped down to 5.4 million. So yeah, he's not staying. I've got 2 free transfers. He's he will not be in I will be surprised if he's in my team come
I,
game week 3.
mm, I mean, I don't want to say I told you so and so like that because obviously, like you had some logic behind it, but it does seem more often than not these preseason punts based on really short term kind of like horizons. Like they never really come off right, and there are a few. few kind of like a bit more sustainable options in like Smith Rowe, Semenyo, who we'll probably talk about as well. But I mean, like he's a cheap player, so like yeah, I don't you can kind of be too upset about it. But yeah, I want to talk about my teammate if it's all right, and just about some of the because still really early in the season, some of the assumptions I made in going as game week 1, and then kind of where we're at on them in terms of those bet. And I think I'd probably give myself a C plus B minus in terms of these predictions, right? So my rank isn't great, but I think I'm quite happy with how my guesses and predictions are coming out. A little bit of luck here, a little bit unlucky elsewhere. So I give myself like a bit of a B minus in terms of my predictions. So one of the big things I went into the season with was no Arsenal, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, kind of the joint best team in the league, nearly won the Premier League last year, the best defense by some margin. I just saw their first 5 fixtures, and outside of Wolves, I thought they were super tough, right? So obviously, they played Villa away kind of this week, super tough fixture. They won 2-0. I think we'll talk about the underlying stats. I think that, if you replay that game 100 times, it would probably be 1-1, 2-1 Villa, something like that in terms of a result. Now, I'm not saying Arsenal didn't deserve it because there were some great performances from the likes of Raya, right? But I think statistically, Villa had their chances, and of course, Arsenal now have got Brighton, Spurs away, and then City, right? So that's a tough little run, right? So I'm not coming out. I'm kind of like probably behind I'm below par, I guess, when it comes to going without Arsenal. But what I'm seeing in games, things, it kind of demonstrates to me my logic was okay. Like I think they could have quite easily conceded to Villa, and like people with Gabriel, Raya, Saliba, they've been a little bit fortunate getting 2 clean sheets, and likewise Saka. Saka has looked incredible, but like I think statistically a little bit fortunate to get 3 returns in 2 games, right? So I think he's kind of outperforming his stats a little bit. Admittedly, he looks incredible, right? But I think he's kind of outperforming, he's overperforming kind of like what he should be doing. And again, it's not saying the players haven't played well, because Raya deserved 10 points, I think, from his performance like last week. So yeah, I didn't go with Arsenal. I think my logic was sound, and we'll see where we're at game week 6, kind of after that little run. I'm okay at the moment. I think it's a bit frustrating. Saka's just getting like returns quite consistently, but I'm okay with that kind of logic. I mean, picking Henderson obviously been disappointing, right? He's got next to no points. The premium keepers, particularly Allison and Raya, scoring really, really well. Likewise, Flecken is getting he's the guy that's accruing all those save points at the moment. But again, it's super early, right? So we'll see how that manifests. I'm not really kind of too bothered. Now, a bet I'm quite concerned about, and I've been very lucky to not get punished, is Trent. So he's had what, 8 points in game week 1, and then 6 points this game week, right? So he's had two clean sheets and 2 bonus points. So that's kind of that's a decent return, but he's been looking really attacking from like an assist potential, right? So I think he's been very unlucky not to get at least 1 double-digit haul, right? So he's looking electric. He's looking fantastic. I went without Trent just because I don't know. I saw him as quite expensive. I thought I could cover any clean sheets for Quansah. I was wrong there. Obviously, kind of Quansah got dropped after 45 minutes in the first game week. And like, Pro Trent is offering better value than 7 million ish, kind of like midfielders, right? So yeah, I've got lucky that I haven't been punished further. So I'm kind of thinking, how can I bring him in? So that's a bet I didn't get right. I kind of went for that bet with like Fernandez and Eze, that great stats from last season, all set pieces, penalty takers. They haven't converted their chances right, but I think that's really freak results. I think I'm really happy with how they're performing. I'm happy to keep them in the teams and kind of whatnot, unless if it's like a move to get Trent in, right? So that might be an option for me to move a Fernandez out to fund a Trent in. So people getting frustrated with them. It's been 2 game weeks, and let's be honest. Okay, Eze had a free kick incorrectly ruled out in game week 1, and he hit the bar this week, as well as having loads of shots, right? If he scored that free kick, I think he'd be looking as one of the best kind of assets in the game for those people who look at points, right? Likewise, Fernandez, his stats are kind of like looking incredible. If he got his assist, so he kind of assisted Garnacho, this weekend against Brighton, and then Xerxes literally for some reason decided to knee in Garnacho's
Yeah,
shot into an open goal when it was already going in, and then it was given offside. If Fernandez got that assist, things would be looking a lot more positive. So they're two. The underlying stats are really good, but it's been like freak decisions that make them look bad. I'm kind of really happy with having Fernandez and Eze. Of course, I would prefer points, but I've been happy with how they've performed. Now, a big decision that we debated quite heavily going into game week 1, and we spoke about it on the pod, right? Was the is Nkunku the option for a 6.5 midfield? Both of us went Gibbs White. Logic there was underlying stats, every single set piece. I don't think he's on corners now, but he's a threat from attacking corners anyway, which is kind of like cool. He's decent in the air. I think Nkunku, like we didn't. I don't want to say I told you so, like because like hey, you can't really guess these things, but we looked at Chelsea as quite unsettled, loads of attacking options. Neither of us had seen Nkunku play too much, right? So we thought let's go for the tried and tested Gibbs White for some easy fixtures, right? And yeah, he's got a goal. He plays for a poor team in Forest, so when he does do something, he's likely to get bonus points, right? Because it'll be those tight games, and he's got Wolves now at home the next game, right?
yeah.
So I mean that's definitely a decision that we both got correct. Other little decisions like I went Muniz, right? So Muniz has blanked twice. He looked quite good this week. I think he had about 7-8 shots, right? So he was peppering shots, but and yeah, who Fulham have got, is it Leicester? Is
Leicester.
coming. Yeah, they got Leicester coming up in game week 3. So
Oh
it's
no, did they
okay.
just have Leicester?
No, they had Leicester, and they've got
Yeah,
Ipswich away, and they I think.
yeah.
Um,
It's a promoted team.
yeah, I think it's Ipswich way, but they got another promoted team. Now, my toss up was Muniz versus João Pedro. So João Pedro, I was looking at Brighton's you know attacking options. I thought Welbeck was going to start as the striker, then I had no idea he was going to play as the 10. And I thought, like, yeah, João Pedro would be coming off 55, 60 minutes. He's played near enough 90 both games, has looked really, really good. Albeit he's started in the 10 and then has gone into the 9 once Welbeck's come off. But he got his goal. Obviously, bad defending by United, but yeah, it was the minutes thing with João Pedro. I think I'd prefer a penalty taker for a more attacking team in Brighton versus Muniz, right? So I
Yeah.
lost that one, but I thought like it's at least we know now. It looks like and I'm tempted to bring João Pedro in maybe game week 4 when Brighton have a nice little mini run. At least I've got a bit more like information to make that decision, right? So I think Muniz over João Pedro super early, but it looks like João Pedro was probably the better pick. Just he's on penalties, and if he was going to have minutes, he's the better pick. Other one was like going Salah and Haaland. I think they both looked really good. Obviously, I could have spread funds a little bit, kind of like across the squad, but I'm quite happy having those two premium assets, and they're both the highest scorers in the game, right? Well, ignoring Palmer and Madueke, who've just had that like freak game too. Like, both Salah and Haaland have had great returns, like really, and it's been nice being able to switch the kind of like captaincy. So I'm quite happy with the logic I applied there and like the returns I've had. So I think I give myself a B minus in terms of like some things I've got wrong. Like going without Trent is obviously something wrong. Missing João Pedro I think is a wrong decision. Arsenal I'm getting punished. I think not only in Arsenal players, but I think they're overperforming. So like let's see what they do next couple of game weeks. So I think overall I'm kind of like quite cool with my team and the logic, the thought process. Fernandez and Eze, I'm not really viewing them as an issue. So I'm kind of like I'm cool, man. So I give myself a B minus, I think, in terms of the assumptions I had going into the season. So I feel quite calm and relaxed with where I am and the plan moving forward. I mean,
Let
what
me,
about yourself, mate?
well, I'm going to back you up. Bruno Fernandez, 0 goals, 0 assists. Expected goal involvement in 2 games, 1.83. So he's been lucky enough to get definitely 1, if not 2 returns. Eze, expected goal involvement, game week 1.46, game week 2.62. So again, it's over 1. He should probably have a return. Muniz got a 0.6 expected goal involvement this week, no return. So I back you, man. I think the picks haven't been bad. It's just you've been unfortunate not to see returns. I feel bad now saying going to say when I say what I was going to say. The thing I love my team. apart from Jacob Murphy. I'm frustrated with Eze. I'm frustrated with the Muniz, and I'm frustrated with Henderson in net.
Yeah.
He's conceded more than he should be, by the way. Palace's expected goals conceded they've conceded 2 a game. Their expected goals conceded is 1.59, 1.39. So he's not
I
massive
mean,
over,
it's not gross
but it's
underperformance though.
no,
And the frustrating thing is
no, it's not massive.
he's not getting saves and
Save points exactly. So
yeah.
that's frustrating me. But I don't mind Eze Muniz and Henderson. I do
Mhm.
mind Murphy. The one part of my team I am absolutely in love with, and I'm sorry to say it, is Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah.
Because not just because I'm a Liverpool fan, but he's coming off in the 70th minute. That might be a short-term thing. We might start playing 90. It's just Slot came out and said it's because he obviously had the international with the Euros with England. He's then took an
Mhm.
extended break, so he's just looking after them. But as soon as he comes off, guaranteed there's my clean sheet points. He's so attacking. Game week 1, 1.06 expected goal involvements. In the second game against Brentford, 0.63. He's taken set pieces. And this fixture run, United, Forest, Bournemouth, Wolves, Crystal Palace. If I just think he's going to be banging points for me left, right, and centre. I think we said last week or the week, but it was the week before when I was setting up the team. He's ahead of Salah for me. Um, so I'm in love with that. I'm in love with my defence. Murphy needs to go, but he's dropped in price, so it makes it very difficult for me to go anywhere. I'm going to have to go to a 5
You just go
million
Rogers,
basically.
don't you? But like,
Yeah,
I think I prefer your like you got Trent, I've got Fernandez. Really, is the big difference, right?
yeah,
I think I prefer your team to mine, to be honest. Like how it's more difficult moving players on, but like I think I prefer your setup and like Murphy. If you started with Smith Rowe, I know you think in a minute you didn't want to go too far invested on Fulham. And like
Fulham.
he's been subbed about 60, 70 minutes, right? So I think that logic around minutes kind of uncertainty was true. But if you start with like
Yeah.
Rodgers or Smith Rowe or Semenyo, like we did debate Semenyo a little bit, and I think he's looking
All right.
very, very good for Bournemouth. Like your team would be good. Yeah, Murphy was just like always a bit of a weird pick.
Yeah,
And I had a
it's a
weird one.
pure punt.
I had Quanser, I suppose. I'd prefer to go in with I'm not going to back myself the logic, right? He started like Liverpool had 2 clean sheets. I was betting him to start. He started, and then he got dropped.
Yeah,
He had a freak drop in a game which you can't really predict, right? So I'm
yeah,
backing myself in that. But yeah, I prefer to have like a dunk or something like that than a Quanser, of course. But like, yeah, I think
yeah,
Murphy's a worse pick than Quanser.
yeah. Murphy was pure punt. 2, 3
Um,
game weeks, bit of fun. Hasn't worked out for me.
but yeah,
Um,
it's looking good, man. It's looking good. I mean, yeah, I don't think you can look at any player next 2 game weeks or whatnot that you're fearful of. I mean, yeah, you've got not the one I'm scared of in Trent. So I think it's looking pretty positive.
Decent, yeah. I don't think I said just for the people that are listening. So I've ended up on 81 points this week. It's took me to 139. So also basically half my rank. Green Arrow from 4.6 million to 2.4. You're 1 point ahead of me, Matt. 1 point ahead of me,
Yeah.
which is this is timely because the next screen we look at our league. Now there are 47 people in our league.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I know she'll be listening, but Becky, my wife, is no longer top. She is now outside of the top 10. But the winning is Adrian Mutlow with heads and volleys. 65 points this game week, taking him to a total of 169. So Adrian is the person to beat. Of the 27 47 in our league, I am 27th, and Matt, you are 25th. So there's more pressure on you to win that league than me. So best of luck, Catcher and Adrian, over the coming weeks. For anybody that hasn't joined the league and still wants to, the code is on the screen. But for those that are listening, that code is T27ZGC. To read that out phonetically, Tango 27 Zulu Golf Charlie. Hopefully we'll see you in there. But yeah, we just wanted to have a quick look and do a game review of what happened in game week 2, including specifically expected goal data. A bit of a mess of this screen, I apologize, Matt, but all 10 pictures are there. So yeah, let's just go through them. Tell me what you learned
No,
from them. May
that's
as well
cool.
start with the half-12 kickoff in Brighton versus Man United.
Yeah, so obviously 2-1 to Brighton. XG data suggests it's a fair result. 1.75 XG for Brighton, 1.41 for United. observations here. I think both teams were good. I think both teams were good. I think I'm not going to dwell too much on it, otherwise we'll be here all night, right? But I think from Fernandez's point of view, I think again a game where he could have at least got an assist, right? Beyond the kind of freak decision from kind of Xerxes. I think the issue is that the players around him aren't very good, right? I think definitely that attack for Manchester United is mid-table at best outside of Fernandez, right? The players that he's surrounded by are very, very average, which is the problem, right? He's priced higher than Jota, Luis Diaz, like same as Erdegaard. He's just not surrounded by as good of players as these guys, right? So like he's creating chances, but he's like surrounded by very poor players, right? So he's looking good himself, though. So I mean, I'm not too worried, but like I said, it's an option to kind of move him out for Trent if I want to correct that mistake. From a Brighton point of view, Matoma, Minter, they're both looking like really good. João Pedro, I think, is we mentioned about that man. I think he's the revelation. I think he was, an XG of about 0.5, right? So that's kind of decent, but it's more than minutes, right? Because we know last season he had about 20, 25 goals across like all competitions, right? It was just the Premier League minutes, and he's played near enough 90 in both games. He's on penalties, right? He's looking quite integral for that team, right? So I think João Pedro, kind of like good pick for the guys that went with him at the beginning of the season. I was a bit skeptical on his minutes, so I think João Pedro like is the person who shines for kind of Brighton for me.
So if you had 5.5 million for a striker, would you take Pedro over Welbeck?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Pedro's the best 6 million and below striker, easily.
Yeah,
I think we could say that.
Welbeck's been overperforming.
Yeah, I mean, he's not on penalties either, is he? So like,
No.
getting subbed off. So I think, and we'll see how like Brighton. There's still a lot of their new signings haven't like settled in, but there could be a world where one of the new signings goes into the 10 and João Pedro goes into the 9. But based on 2 games, I think João Pedro is that best cheap striker for sure.
Yeah. Matoma was interesting. Goal and assist for him over the 2 games.
Yeah, sure.
And that's on level, by the way. That's on level with his expected data, 2 returns. So he's been pretty good. Whereas Welbeck's had 3 returns, but not at the data.
He's looking good, right? And he's been in tough fixtures. Obviously, they've got Arsenal next, so you don't want to bring any Brighton players in. But game week 4, game week 5, game week 6, I think they've got a nice little run there. So I think they're definitely worth targeting.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to go across or do you want to go down?
Let's go down. Is it? Let's go down. So we got the Palace West Ham 2-0 West Ham. XG suggests that was a lucky game, so it was like 1.59 XG for both teams, really. So I think that probably I don't want to dwell on this game too much. It's not the most relevant from an FPL point of view. I think Palace defense isn't looking that solid. I think looking at highlights, I didn't watch the game, but looking at highlights, I think they're pretty even. I think West Ham were more clinical. Eze again looked really good. Had lots of shots. I think he had like over 5 shots, which is kind of like always appealing. He hit the crossbar. So Eze, anyone who owns him, I think he's a strong hold. They've not a buy. Like I mean, like get on him when he's due a goal. Why not? From a West Ham point of view, I still want to see more from this team. I don't know if I like them or not.
Yeah.
They could be a team that like a solid upper mid-table team, but I want to see more under the new manager to see what they're all about. But like obviously players like Bowen are they're just like super efficient. Souček is looking. Don't really want to go there, but he's looking like this box to box like box crasher number 8, right, and getting like lots of threat in the box. But I've got no one from a West Ham point of view on my shortlist, just pure fixtures, right? So I don't want to dwell on that one too much more.
No, but we called it. I'm going to call this, Matt. Last week we said best player last in game week 1 for expected FPL points was Suchek. And what happens? He scores in game week 2. 1-0 us. We're going to claim that one. But yeah, next one. We've both got a Fulham player in Muniz and Robinson. We've both got 2 Fulham players. And they had Leicester 2-1 to Fulham.
So 2-1, which I think seems a bit of a fair result. XG Fulham 1.75, XG for Leicester 0.64. I think Leicester just looked quite poor. They were good against Spurs in game week 1 in the second half. So let's see if that's a home versus away kind of thing. But I think Fulham were pretty comfortable the whole game. Robinson looks attacking. I think Fulham were unfortunate to concede, to be honest. Muniz, for those that own him, he looked fine. He was taking lots of shots, but and essential areas in the box. Smith Rowe scored a clinical goal, and he generally looked good. He didn't have much threat beyond the goal itself, but I think obviously fair play to him to get that. I think both teams looked. Yeah, I think Leicester looked poor. Fulham didn't look incredible, but I think FPL wise, there's a bit of relevance short term, right? Given their little kind of mini run, but I think if people haven't brought Fulham players in already, I think this week is the last chance to bring them in for a while. I think people are still bringing Robinson outside of game week 3. He's a bench option for sure. They don't suddenly have an incredible defense, right? So I'd proceed with caution, like people who are jumping on Fulham players now. I'm not convinced, right? So, but Leicester look quite poor. But again, it's super early to kind of make too many conclusions. City, which this was an interesting game. So I think there's more to talk about here. So 4-1 City, XG 2.73 to City, 0.37 to Ipswich. So City overperformed a little bit, but quite a dominant performance, kind of all round from an underlying stats point of view. You don't normally see teams get more than 3 XG. Obviously Haaland's super clinical, just kind of bullying kind of sides. So kind of he can score 3, 4, 5 goals in every single game. De Bruyne is looking really good. Is that advanced 10? I'm not going to go there just because Champions League is just around the corner, and I don't think he's going to be able to have minutes consistently in Champions League and league. So let's see what group City get kind of drawn, and let's see that kind of rhythm there. He's also pretty expensive. In the midfield, Savinho, he looks really good. He looks like Mahrez. So there's Doku, who's got very limited finesse, right? Versus Savinho, who's come in and looked great. He just looks like he's got the same number as Mahrez, 26, but he's playing exactly like him as well. He looks really good. And I think if City continue to play with 2 out-and-out wingers, that has interesting conclusions. So Savinho, if he nails down that flank, he becomes a bargain because he's 6.5, right? So it's too early to say, but he's looking very, very good. Very, very good. And it's getting assists, goals and whatnot and getting involved. A knock-on impact there is that Rico Lewis looks really good. So I think if City are playing with 2 out-and-out wingers, Rico Lewis is more likely to play versus Walker because you don't need the Walker provides, right? You need the control that Lewis can provide. And I think Lewis owners, I was tempted a fleeting moment to move Ponce to Lewis. Lewis, he hit the crossbar, didn't he? He had a few chances in the box. He was getting so many touches in the box, right? He was playing as a 10, right? So there's that risk, right? There's John Stones and Kyle Walker both on the bench. But if Savinho seems to be the guy who's nailing that that right wing spot, I think there's an argument to say that Lewis is the player that complements him the most, right? Because you don't need that from pace that Walker's got. Very interesting. Yeah, I think he had 0.7 XG, something crazy like that. So Lewis is incredibly interesting, right? If he continues to get a run and
is it? Yeah.
But
a wait and see with Lewis until he gets guaranteed consistent.
I don't think there's ever been that guarantee, right? But if it City often have team leaks, right? So if are they playing the first game of the week or early on the weekend, can you play around with assumptions? Lewis is a player that you can kind of bench occasionally, right? So I think he is. You want him. I think he's an interesting complement to teams. Like he's looking really, really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think De Bruyne, Savinho, Haaland, of course, Lewis. I think are the interesting kind of bits from that game. For
I've got two
Southampton,
things for you before you move on. Two questions, mainly about City.
yeah.
Number one is on Foden. Obviously, he's not been back into the squad yet, but he's going to come back into the squad because he's too good. How do you see
Is
it?
he?
Who's he going to impact? Is he going to? You've got to think he's got Foden's too good not to be starting for Man City.
I don't think he's. I don't. I'm not as big a fan as lots of people are for Foden. FPL and non-FPL. Like FPL, he ridiculously outperformed his performance like last year, and like yeah.
See him getting back in though.
Who would he play? Where?
Well, this is because that was going to be the exact question. Whose positions he impacting? Is it Doku? Is it Bruyne potentially?
Well, he normally plays where he'd normally play De Bruyne is, or where oh, he could play as the 10, couldn't he? And then De Bruyne could play deeper with Rodri.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And then there's Lewis
Kovacic and
gone.
Bernardo are looking good, right? He could play.
Yeah.
He would play on the right wing, right, instead of Savinho, but he's looking good as well. So like, you wouldn't
Yeah.
normally play on the left, right? But yeah, I think Doku would be the person who's not performing that we drop in. But it could be any one of those three positions, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, he's in a void, right? Until you see him getting a run. That's
Yeah.
probably
Absolutely.
all those wingers. Like, I mean, with Savinho, it's like a more appealing price point, right? But like for De Bruyne and Foden, it's like an avoid until you see just one of them just like nailing it all the time.
Guaranteed.
Which he did
The
last year.
second point.
Um,
Yeah, he did, and he got. That's it. I'm judging until I know what
Oh,
Pep's going to play.
Gundogan is back as
Uh,
well. So where does he play?
yeah,
Does he play as a 10?
yeah.
Is he a better 10
So there,
than
we've got
than
two. We've
Foden?
got Foden and Gundogan to
Honestly,
fit in here somewhere.
or he plays at the 8. He plays the 8 and De Bruyne plays as a thing. I mean, as a question, is Foden better than De Bruyne or Gundogan? I don't think he
If you're
is.
putting Gundogan in, somebody else is getting dropped. I'm a hold until I see what that team is. But the second one I think is more interesting.
Hmm.
Gvardiol, obviously, back in the last season was playing as a left winger. It's only been 2 games, granted, short sample size. Expected goal involvement 0.03, which to me, and he's played Ipswich, by the way,
Yeah.
at home, and he played 90 minutes. This to me tells me that in the current setup, Gvardiol's not getting forward.
No, it's because Doku is playing on the wing, right? He was playing as a left winger back in the last season because there was like Grealish and Doku weren't playing, right? And then obviously City are playing as a back three now in possession, and Rico Lewis is the one in the nominal back four who's pushing up into midfield. So Lewis is doing kind of what Guardiola was doing last year, but being more central.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
Does
mean,
that make Gvardiol a no-go for you? 6
um,
million.
well, he's playing right, and he's I think. But City only had some clean sheets in the next couple, right? They should have got a clean sheet against Ipswich, right? So like super unlucky there. So he's a hold, right? I don't. If it is he a buy, I'm not sure. I mean, there's probably other.
Yeah.
I'd probably go for an Arsenal and Liverpool defender over him at the moment, but yeah, he's a hold, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. That was it. Just like, would you buy him?
No, I
I
won't
want to
buy.
see more attacking from him.
I'd buy. I'd
Uh,
buy. I'd buy Robertson, Trent. Probably not Van Dijk, but yeah, I'd probably still buy the Arsenal kind of defenders
yeah.
over him at the moment.
That was it. Name number two,
Yeah,
Southampton Forest, where I think we were both on
Um,
XG for Forest there, 2.36. We might have got some more returns
no,
from Gibbs
they were
White.
good. They were good. They were good. Gibbs White was good. Forest were good. Southampton looked really poor. I got away with it. So, yeah, 1-0 to Forest, but XG was like 0.26 for Southampton. That's really bad. And then 2.36 XG from Forest. So, yeah, I think Southampton look like all the promoted teams look like teams to target, right? So I think that's ringing. That's viewing that looks true based on what we've seen here. But like a home game, your first home game, I think that's a very poor performance by Southampton. And like, I mean, I've got a few players playing Southampton next week. I've got Fernandez game week 4, who is playing Southampton away. Like, I mean, it's like, oh, do I want to move him on when that's around the horizon? I don't know. Yeah, they looked quite toothless in attack, and I think there's some players that I kind of like Armstrong. I like Diaz as well. They look toothless though. They looked really bad. I think we just leave it at that really there.
Yeah, not much more on it.
And we got the Spurs out in game. Everton looking really shocking. So it's 4-0. Yeah, that's you can't really argue it. Yeah, XG was 2.57 for the Spurs, 0.62 for Everton. Yeah, Everton looked shocking. Obviously, there was a few freak goals, right, that Everton just gave away, right? So I think it's a bit of an artificial underlying stats and underlying like score because, of course, like Son's goal when he just like dispossessed Pickford, like that's just a bit of a random piece. But yeah, Spurs they weren't challenged defensively, so like yeah, obviously Van der Ven got his assist. I think Romero got some points as well, so that's all good. Porro was looking super attacking in possession again. I mean, he didn't really have great underlying stats, but the positions were really strong. Yeah, Son. Son was good as well, right? So I think yeah, obviously people with Solanke will feel hard done by, of course, because yeah, no one can predict that injury, like the first one in over a year for him to miss out this kind of ripe fixture. But yeah, Everton look bad; they look really bad, right?
Yeah, they might have been taking the mick, but I saw Paddy Power paid out for Everton to be relegated already. So their Twitter said. Brutal. Interesting with Spurs. Next game is Toon away, and then they've got Arsenal. So 2 very very tough fixtures coming up.
Yeah, I mean Arsenal is. I don't know. If Newcastle is. I'm still undecided where
Maybe
are
not
they
at
a
the
good
minute.
team
Yeah,
or not. But yeah, I mean I won't be buying Spurs players just with that run. But
yeah,
wait and see. But like yeah, Everton. I think Everton is the big learn here is Everton just seem to be a bit of a team to target, of course.
yeah.
Yeah, next
The
game's
big,
the
the big
big
one.
one on the Saturday. Villa, Arsenal. So like really. I mean, yeah, Arsenal lost to Villa away last year. They've won it there 2-0. XG, we said they're a bit fortunate. Like it was a very close game. 1.37 XG for Villa, 1.32 to Arsenal. Yeah, like Villa. Watkins had a few golden chances they missed, and yeah, some fantastic saves by Raya. So great performance there. There was a couple of breaks from the likes of Rogers where Saliba cut across as well. So Villa were looking good. Like so, Villa now have a really nice run. Like they got Leicester now, and they've got a really nice run for the next 4 or 5 game weeks, right? So yeah, I think it's a time to jump on Villa players. Rogers obviously looked great. I mean, I proceed with caution there. You got to know what you're getting there. Like he's been dribbling good, right? His minutes have been good, but his expected goal involvement hasn't been great. His underlying stats haven't, but he's been getting in areas, right? So yeah, kind of Rogers looks good value for money. Watkins, I think if you got him, you're ahead of the game, right? So yeah, he's going to get some goals in that run. Yeah, I think obviously just a solid team all round. Like so, they were unlucky not to get at least a goal against Arsenal. Yeah, Arsenal. I mean, we don't really need to talk about Arsenal too
No,
much, right?
no,
I
just
mean, they're fortunate.
on.
They're a
Yeah,
very good team. They're fortunate this week to not concede, but that was a result of good play, right? That was good saves and whatnot. So they kind of like earned it really, rather than like Villa just wasting chances. Yeah. So
yeah.
um, and then Bournemouth,
Well,
you.
I'll touch on Arsenal, right?
Yeah.
So I think yeah. So Arsenal's over the 2 games expected goals conceded 2.06,
Uh-huh.
yet to concede. So very much
Yeah. I
outperforming. And
mean,
on Rodgers,
it's a small
oh sorry,
sample size, isn't it? It's a small sample
yeah,
size, so we
it
can't
is.
take these things too literally. Like these underlying stats, they average themselves over like the medium to long term, right? But they give an
Yeah,
indication if is someone running hot. So suggest their defense is good, but they've been fortunate to get 2 clean sheets.
correct.
That's it. That's it.
Rodgers, and I
Hmm.
think this will be interesting to you. So yeah, the Villa fixtures: Leicester, Everton, Wolves, Ipswich in the next
Yeah.
four. Unai Emery, direct quote: "He's playing fantastic. He's adding us more tact. He's adding us more." This is exactly what he says, by the way. If it doesn't make English sense, what I'm saying doesn't make sense
Yeah.
Englishly either. But he's adding us more tactical ways with how we can connect with him inside and on the outside. And this is the part for me. The next step is getting him into the box. So that's going to tell you that his expected goal contribution should increase going forward.
Well, also subtle criticism, right? Saying he's not getting in the box enough, right?
Maybe,
If you're
maybe.
playing as a number 10, a second striker for Villa, you need to take shots, boy.
Yeah, maybe.
Um,
Could well be that.
it might be
I like the
Duran's.
first one, but it could be that.
I mean, I don't, I'm tongue in cheek, but I don't put too much weight on manager comments like that. Do you know what I mean? It means nothing. You know what I mean? But like,
Yeah, I'm with you.
of course, he needs to get. He hasn't been getting in the box or taking shots, right? So if he's playing 10
Yeah,
for Villa, he needs to, right? So I think it's like, of course, but yeah, he's looking good, and like, yeah, good time to bring him in for that run. Like, obviously, that's Champions League, but you know, he looks pretty important and integral for that team, and it's performing well. Not getting returns, but
yeah.
performing very, very well. Bournemouth, Newcastle. I mean, 1-1. Yeah, Bournemouth deserves to win it. 2.5 xg, and then 1.78 for Newcastle. And that goes against that even ignores like disallowed goals, incorrectly not disallowed penalties, potential red cards for Newcastle. So Newcastle look, they don't look great, which is not massively reassuring for like ourselves as Isaac owners. But
Yeah.
I guess the issue is there should be enough good players that they'll start pulling some results, right? I mean, obviously Gordon got like his kind of goal, cool. He's not going to really do anything, but there's good enough players, right? So I'm kind of cool sitting with Isaac for a while. Bournemouth are more interesting. So I thought Bournemouth would be really poor. They've started in the first two games pretty good, and yeah, Semenyo is the guy that I want to talk
Yeah.
about from Bournemouth really, because like they're looking super, and I think their new forward could be an option as well. So the Solanke replacement, what's his name?
Evan Nilsson.
Yeah, he was looking good. Like he had some
Yeah.
good underlying stats and was looking quite dangerous picking up that Solanke role. But yeah, obviously Semenyo 5.5 mil player. He's kind of looked super threatening in both games. I think there's a bit of value there, and I think he got the assist knee for Tavernier. So like, and
He did. Yes,
that was always his own making really. So like, yeah, good run, good cross really. So yeah, I'm surprised at Bournemouth, but like, yeah, when fixtures are right, it looks like there's one or two interesting attacking options from there.
Yeah. It's interesting. So we'll get a screen up in a second to show top performing players of the season so far. It's only 2 games in mind. So Menu's fifth, right?
Hmm.
He's only 5.5.
Yeah.
But my only issue I've got with him is in the next 8 games, he's got Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Villa, and City.
No, it's exactly that. It's
Stinks.
kind of like there's some evidence to say. Let's see how they. Yeah, like, it's a wait and see. Like, with those fixtures, no one's seriously bringing in a Bournemouth player. It's more like, hey, here's some players that we can think about when there's the appropriate runs, right?
Yeah, exactly
Um,
that. And it'd be interesting to
and-
see how the new signing impacts. And they play together this weekend though, so there's no reason why they're not both they're
no,
not
well,
both
like,
going to start.
he played 70 minutes, right? And I
Yeah,
expected goals of like 0.7, right? So yeah, like I mean, like slotting in quite nicely already. I've got to say, actually, yeah, I was kind of like just going back to like our squads. I was like kind of like feeling sorry for myself that I didn't go Hall over Quanso because I was debating that. I was like 50-50, like as you know, going up to the deadline I had. But yeah, Hall also got benched, right? So yeah, these rotation risk the kind of players just like stay away from them. Beginning of the season, minutes is always king in it. Minutes is always. Hall will be back, I'm sure, no doubt. Like Kraft was bad. I mean, the problem is they had too many left footers. Then they had Kelly. I think they have Kraft to kind of complement Kelly, but well, Hall will probably be back. But yeah, the next game is probably one of the reasons that prompted us to bring this
yeah,
up because we always talk about the fixtures and the players, but we're trying to be a bit more methodical. So we might keep doing this, we might not. I think probably need to talk less about our teams if we're going to do this in time. But yeah, obviously 6-2. Wow, what a result! But like, yeah, the underlying stats: XG for Wolves 2.09, XG for Chelsea 1.53. So a massive overperformance by Chelsea. Now we're not idiots, right? I was watching a bit of the game, and I watched the highlights. Obviously, Chelsea's goals were super clinical and obviously great breakaways, right? And like some excellent finishes, like the Palmer dips. We know expected goals isn't everything, right? But there's enough to say don't. I think some people are losing their minds about this result. I think Chelsea are back. We'll start loading up on their players. I'm bringing Madueke. He's got that random hat trick from nothing. Like he's going to be a rotation risk still, and he's just going to be the same player as last year.
Didn't start. Didn't get a minute in the game week 1.
No, exactly. I tell you, Neto looked Neto is a very good player. He was looking really good. João Felix was looking good. Jackson was looking good. Palmer was looking good. Yeah, I mean, so they got some good players, right? They got some good players. But I think all the stuff that we were talking about going into this game with there's just way too many players. We don't know what their system is. That's still true. Yeah. Just pretend they drew 2-2 with Wolves, which would have been a fair result. Like, would you be going crazy with their players? Like, we know Palmer's a good player.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be going. I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be tearing my team up for them.
He's 1 goal, 3 assists from 1.24 XGI.
Yeah, so that's
again,
a good performance.
Stats not everything.
That's some great stats. Like Palmer's he's a good player. Like some Madueke. I think that's where it's a bit more like
questionable.
Yeah,
XGI was 1.0, 3 goals. Not bad. Son got a hat trick from 0.7 last season, did he not, in a game?
No, but people do this, but it's and obviously there's game state, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm not desperate for Chelsea players. Yeah, obviously Palmer we knew was a good player anyway, so that's fine. I think from a Wolves point of view, Ait-Nouri looks good. Again, I think part of the problem with Wolves is they got back four, and that's one of them. One side's Ait-Nouri, one side's Doherty, right? So it's like we've essentially got 2 defenders. But Ait-Nouri looked really good going forward. So again, Wolves have got awful fixtures, but when those flip, he's a really cheap enabler who's interesting. Likes of Cunha again, interesting option as and Huang, interesting cheap options when their fixtures run. And then their final game of the game week, Liverpool Brentford's 2-0, which was a fair result, if not flattering Brentford a little bit. Liverpool XG 2.55, Brentford's 0.52. Having a very dominant performance by Liverpool, super impressive. They're looking very tight at the back, so I wasn't expecting this to this to be the case so quickly. Dominant. Probably most. We'll ignore the City Ipswich game because it's newly promoted. But I think for against a solid team, that was a very impressive performance. And all the usual names kind of stand out. Right, Trent was incredible. I've been very lucky not to have him. Robertson was looking really good. So Robinson was looking a goal threat. Trent wasn't looking a goal threat. He was an assist threat. Robinson was very advanced and looking as a goal threat. So I think that's an interesting alternative if you can't afford Trent. He's got the minutes the last 2 kind of games as well. I think that was a bit of a minor concern that he wouldn't play. Simicast would play, but he's playing and playing very well, which is cool. Szoboszlai was the 10 again, so it was in good areas. Salah is Salah, right? So again, good underlying stats, knows how to get into the right positions. Diaz, I think, was probably he's looking probably the most interesting one from an FPL point of view. Jota got his return, really nice assist. Still got a bit of a doubt about him, but I don't know how long it will last. But yeah, Liverpool seem to have a whole host of options, and really nice fixtures until game week 6. I think game week 6, game week 7.
7.
Yeah.
But I'll before I back you up with the next screen with all of the points you make about Liverpool players. I know this took longer than we anticipated this screen, but I think that was well worth it. very well worth going through it game by game. So
I think it was good, man. But like, hey, I think we were saying we try and keep it under an hour, but we're
yeah,
almost.
I think we'll miss that. We'll try and get it as close to an hour 10 as possible. But honestly, I'm backing you up here because this is the top performing players. Again, only 2 game weeks in, but top performing players as ranked by expected FPL points. Louis Diaz top, Trent is
Yep.
second, Salah's fourth, Jota is sixth. Liverpool absolutely dominated.
Yep.
Uh, Interestingly, for me, Diaz is outperforming Jota. Both started at the same price. Jota's now gone up. Diaz hasn't. But from an expected goal involvement point of view, they're both ahead of Salah, which is really interesting to me. Now, I'm not suggesting I'm going to sell Salah for Jota, but I just thought that was quite an interesting review, quite an interesting thing to see.
I mean, it's probably reflective of game state. I think he makes space for those
Yeah.
guys, right? And also Salah's
What
on
we want for
penalties, right?
FPL. Yeah,
Look,
that's
Salah's on
it.
penalties, right? So you'd expect a
Yeah,
team like Liverpool for every 4 or 5 games maybe to get a penalty. Maybe that's a bit generous, but
yeah,
like, yeah, you'll get a penalty and then that's instantly 0.85 xg, right? So there's that premium. But Diaz is looking good. I think there's a bit of a view that he's not clinical. He's returned like in both games, right, and has looked very good. I mean, Jota scored a volley against Sevilla in pre-season. That's the difference. People, I know he's
remember.
playing normally as the 9, but Diaz is just as advanced.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
I think
I think
his
as well as you
minutes
look at
moving
it,
forward are more assured over Jota's as well. So yeah, Diaz is a incredibly interesting and budget friendly option, as is Jota. But I think Diaz um, Diaz has less competition on left wing than Jota has as centre forward.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
I'm back. I can back that. Although Gakpo obviously played left wing for the Netherlands. Now, whether that's where Slot sees him is a completely different option. Um, but
um,
he came on and obviously hit the bar himself. Gakpo, he looked pretty decent. Nunes found himself offside about 4 times after he came on. So I think Jota and Diaz I'll be safe, to be honest with you.
no, for
Um,
sure,
but
for sure. But
yeah,
like,
would you treble up? I know you've got 2 Liverpool players based on their fixtures. Would you consider
uh,
trebling up?
yeah, I don't. I can because I've got Qantas. So that's a bit of an issue. Like unless I want to start taking hits and doing major surgery on my team, like we'll see. I would like to, but I think I've forced myself into a bit of a tough spot. Obviously, yeah. What's like standing out to me here is like, oh my gosh, like there's like Diaz and Jota, and I've got Bruno Fernandes, and like he's not on this page, right? The top 10 expected FPL points players according to Fix, right? But he's on the next page, as is Eze, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Bruno Fernandes is like expect the FPL points of about 13, right? So he's still performing well. It's just more the thing of his fixtures are a bit more mixed, and he's just
Yeah.
surrounded by far worse players. So and in a far worse system. So yeah, it is a bit of a dilemma. I mean, we spoke about all the Liverpool players. Haaland is there, of course. Semenyo is the surprise, right? So he's he's got 13 points, but he's underperforming his expected FPL. So he's been really, really good. Romero is surprising to be there. Like Spurs are looking a bit solid at the back, and then we've got Welbeck and Souček on here as well. This is just the nature of it being a 2-week sample size, right? So it's hard to tell proper trends. But I mean, like me being lucky with Trent is something that's an observation. Like Diaz looking very, very good is an observation. And then I noticed the page behind this, like some Eze and Fernandez, what you see in terms of like, oh, they're underperforming. That kind of rings true when you look at the stats as well. They've both,
Yeah.
I think they're like Eze is expected FPL points is like 12, I think, and then Fernandez like 13. So yeah, I think
Far off.
we've seen a few trends, a few trends now, and also we can see where players are just like drastically overperformed. Like Madueke doesn't appear
Yeah.
here, right, despite his 20 points.
Balls. Yeah. And it's interesting. Semenyo's had more shots than Haaland. Um, but on to the next screen, which is all focused on Nkunku. We said at the beginning We both dodged him for Gibbs White purely for guaranteed minutes, set pieces, penalty duties, yada yada yada. A lot of people went for him. He's now dropped to 6.4. People are selling him in their bucket loads, and probably because he didn't get a start in game week 2. Chelsea won, probably won't start in game week 3. So this is a to show all 6.5 million and below mids. So if it was you, and note Rodgers isn't on this, but is a very viable option. If you had Nkunku when you were selling him, who are you getting in?
I think for me, I'm not. I mean, this is a small sample size. I'm not going to take this too literally at this expected. So Semenyo is a good option, but I think because of fixtures, it doesn't really come into the equation. So I think the shortlist at the moment is probably it's Rodgers from Villa because of he's played. The price point is very very generous, and you can upgrade your team elsewhere, right? And like he's played near enough 90 minutes, and Villa has had that really nice fixture run of the next 5 game weeks. He'd be on it. Smith Rowe would be on it just because like Fulham have good short-term fixtures and mixed longer term and a generous price point, and he'll just get minutes, right? He's assured in that team now. I think he's building up that fitness now, so minutes just going to increase. So it'd be Smith Rowe, it'd be Rodgers. It'd probably be something like it'd probably be like Gibbs White as well. Gibbs White, that little list of Gibbs White, Mitoma, Leon Bailey. Really. So not really following this table, but these are all
fixtures.
These are all options. And then we've got like an incredible option at 7 in Mbumo as well, right? Who
you can stretch.
He has fixtures up and down, but he can score against anyone. He'll be on penalties. He's looking threatening against any team, and they Brentford long term have an incredible fixture run, right? So, I think those are the 4 or 5 options I'd be looking at. If I'm going down, there'll be Smith Rowe, Rodgers, Mintep potentially. I think that's a bit of a curveball pick. If I'm going up, it's Mbumo or Eze. Obviously, let's assume most people have Eze. This around 6.5 is Gibbs White or Mitoma. Bailey, I think Rodgers is probably a superior option, and he's a lot cheaper. And that's just based on these are based on fixtures, quality of teams, and fixtures. So, the expected FPL points is an interesting reference point. Have you been lucky or unlucky recently? But and our players generally looking good, but it's not a great predictive tool quite yet.
Yeah, I'm with you. Next time I do this, what I'll do is I'll put up a expected points over the next 5 game weeks for you to have a look at. Next one is Fixture Ticker. I'm not going to spend too much time on these 2 screens. It's the third one that I think you'll be mainly interested in. I appreciate we're talking about wildcard game week 6 or so. But Fixture Ticker that we've spoke about already. Villa have good fixtures. Leicester. Teams that you're probably going to go for: Villa, Liverpool, maybe Brentford, maybe, definitely Arsenal, potentially. Chelsea are on there, and pretty much the same across the attack one. Well, this is where we probably focus our time. So this is the Fixture Ticker over the next 3 game weeks, and you'll notice that Arsenal aren't on either. Their fixtures really swing into play from game week 6. But based on this, who's standing out?
Yeah, and the reason why we're looking at the next 3 game weeks is we're both probably provisionally targeting game week 6 as a wildcard week, just because that's a convenient week to jump on Arsenal for a really nice fixture run. I mean, I'm going to keep flexible. I don't know about you, but
depends how many transfers I have going into it.
I'm going to keep that in mind because I think I can roll again this week. That means that I've accrued 3 transfers going into game week 4. I've got the option to play smart and not do short-term transfers, and I think I could get some Arsenal players in through pure free transfers
straight in
game week 6, right? Which could be a nice tack. So I'm gonna keep it quite flexible, fluid, and kind of run some kind of test some kind of concepts there. But let's assume I'm wildcarding game week 6. The teams I will be targeting, Villa, Liverpool, Brighton, right? Both from a defense and attack point of view, right? So players that are on my extended shortlist. I'm probably not going to do any moves game week 3. Spoiler, like game week 4 and game week 5 is probably more interesting. But like from an attacking point of view, I like João Pedro, Minter, and Matoma from Brighton. I like got Salah anyway, but I like Diaz from Liverpool as an option. I prefer him to Jota just because like the underlying stats are looking good, and I think he's got more assured minutes. From defense, and who else do I like from attack? I like Rogers. I like from a attack point of view. I like Bailey. I like Watkins from an attacking point of view, right? So I think there's some interesting options in these teams. From a defense point of view, got Konsa from Villa. I like a second Villa defender potentially, like kind of Pau Torres is an interesting option. I like Trent. I like Robinson, of course, right? Yeah, everyone likes them. I like Dunk, right? So yeah, it's kind of really these teams that are dominating my thinking really. Like
that totally makes sense.
we'll talk about. I mean, what about you? Same teams?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm definitely selling Murphy, so I'm looking for somebody who's got fixtures from this game week or onwards, and it's Villa for me. Leicester, Everton, Wolves in the next 3 seems pretty nice. So
Yep.
now that Murphy's dropped to 5.4, Roger seems the spoiler as well. Roger seems the pick. But yeah, I'm covering the rest apart from Brighton, but I can wait. I'm not going to get Brighton players in for game week 3 when they've got Arsenal away, so I can wait a week for that. I've got 2 free transfers, so I won't be using both. So I'll keep one in the back pocket.
I mean, for my side as well, the beauty is I could have that flexibility of rolling, right? So, like, I'm talking about João Pedro. He's got he's playing better fixtures than Muniz at Fulham. Fulham are second on the ticker, right, from an attacking point of view, right? So, I can quite easily keep Muniz, right? So, I mean, I'll play with it like kind of like holding on to the wild card is interesting, right? So, I'll play around with that.
Nice to have the flexibility. And we probably won't spend too long on this because I'm pretty sure we're probably both going to captain the same person. But I don't think it's as cut dry as some weeks. So this is looking at the best captain option. Haaland's top. But if you've got an Arsenal player, so Haaland's away at West Ham. Saka and Havertz to a second and third at home to Brighton.
Yeah.
Do you think there's an option there to captain one of them instead? I don't. I'll tell you why I don't if you want me
to. I don't. This makes me nervous though. Like kind of like it's annoying they Havertz didn't do anything, but obviously Saka got a return at least against Villa. Yeah, that Brighton fixture at home does. Brighton look good, so let's kind of see how they kind of perform against the best in the league. Now that'd be really interesting. But yeah, it makes me nervous as a non-owner. Right, they could quite easily win that 3-0. I think Haaland is the clear option just because of like his quality, the quality of the team, his underlying stats, the penalties, the minutes, all that. I think, Haaland for me is the clear option. And I would say Salah's probably an equivalent captaincy option with Saka.
Even away at United.
Yeah, I think I've been impressed with kind of like Liverpool, and I haven't. Oh, I don't know. I think they're probably similar options, but Haaland for me is by a little bit of a margin.
I'm with you. He's got. I know there's only 2 games. We keep saying it. Small sample size, but Haaland expected goal involvement 2.33. Saka's is 1.23, so he's way ahead. And in terms of expected goals conceded, West Ham is 3.5 compared to Brighton 1.96.
That's interesting. I was thinking that they were being defensively sound so far this season, but that suggests they're still leaky. Bringing in Kilman, bringing in Max Kilman hasn't solved their problem.
No. That 2-0, like as we saw the stats before, Palace should have scored at least 1, if not 2.
Oh yeah, Eze peppering that goal.
Yeah. So for me, Haaland's got more chance of scoring than Saka when he's playing a worse defense. So
I mean, Brighton as well have over the medium term they've been relatively okay defensively, right? I think that this myth of Brighton being a bad defense from like a season or two ago still exists. They've been okay.
I think we chatted about it, didn't we, last season under the new manager? They were the fourth best in the division, or fifth. They were right there at the top.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter where exactly, but they were a decent side
They were good.
defensively, which is like a complete flip from what they were like two or so seasons ago. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I
absolutely.
think Haaland is the best option by some margin.
I'm in. I'm in. Right. You won't like the next screen, Matt, and I apologise for it. But it's got to come in. Differentials. Matt
Ooh.
versus Dave. We both found it very difficult to pick, and I found it quite difficult to pick this time round as well. But I am 1-0 up. And don't give you 2 points. Soboslai got a clean sheet, but also got booked. So 2 points, taking you to 4. Adam Armstrong got a booking for me, giving him 1 point, but I did get him a Toma assist, and he picked up a bonus point. So he got 6, taking me to 7. So that makes it 1-0 to me. And I do remember, I think I don't think I started losing until the end of last season. So me taking the lead means nothing. I need a big gap. My turn to pick first this time round. I found it just as hard as last week, to be honest with you, mate. But I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start with Cunha. It doesn't
Yeah,
fill me with excitement. He's 2.3% owned. First start against Chelsea, 1.13 expected goal involvement, which he got.
yeah.
He got his goal, and he's playing Nottingham Forest now. I don't mind Forest as a defence, which is why I own Aina. But I think Wolves have been unlucky not to score more than they have. They had the better stats against expected goals against Chelsea. He should have scored against Arsenal. So I can see them getting goals. So I'm going Cunha.
Yeah, nice. I'm gonna go Leon Bailey against Leicester. So
Yeah.
got he started both games, 90 minutes against Arsenal. Didn't do too much, but it's Arsenal, right? So yeah, he got 21 goal involvements last year, which is like that's mad. That's really good. He scored like near enough 150 FPL points. So yeah, I reckon he'll start. He did pretty well against West Ham in their first fixture. Leicester look poor. I'm going to go Bailey. I think he's. Let me
Sure.
just double check if he's in. Yeah, he's
It's got to be under
3.2% owned.
5.
So yeah, Leon
Yeah,
Bailey.
he had to be. All right, my second, I'm taking an absolute gamble, mate. I'm picking somebody that has yet to start a game. I think he's earned it. You'll be made up that I'm picking him. I'm going for Trossard. Trossard is
Yeah, no.
1.9% owned. I don't think Martinelli's done enough. Trossard's come off and scored, in
Yeah.
effect, what has become the winner. And they're playing Brighton. You know, these players always come back and haunt their old clubs. As a result, I'm going to pick Trossard as my second.
I like it. Right. We've spoken about the side who've just been absolutely abysmal. I can't see it changing short term because of injuries. So, like, I'm going to target Everton. So, I'm going to bring in. Actually, what's Semenyo's thing? I was going to think of bringing in the new man, Evan Nelson. But let me see that. What's
I think Semenyo's over.
He's got to be over by now, and he's 2.2% owned.
Semenyo?
Yeah.
Do you want to go Semenyo then?
Ooh. I kind of like the idea of Evan Nelson, but I've got to go Semenyo, right?
Semenyo.
Yeah, Semenyo.
Semenyo it is. I like it. Bailey and Semenyo versus Cunha and Trossard. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to a week where it's dead easy to pick here, Matt. 5% is tough. But yeah, we'll see how we do. We'll see
I
how
think
we
it
do
was good.
next
I
week.
think they're all interesting picks, right? I reckon they're
Yeah,
all
I think so.
interesting picks. Yeah.
Keeps it more fun when the difficult ones. But yeah, Cunha Trossard versus Bailey and Semenyo. Hopefully it'll be 2-0 me. Come on, Cunha, because I don't want Arsenal to win. But going into game week 3, we've kind of hinted at it, what we're going to do. But this is your team on the screen now, Matt. Talk us through it. What are your plans?
Yeah, so I've got 2 free transfers going into game week 3. Obviously, there's no need to just waste just like do a transfer for the sake of it, rather than burn it, because we can keep rolling them up to 5 free transfers. Looking at my team, I think I'll probably roll, right? So my team at the moment is Henderson, Conser, again, away to Leicester, Robinson away to Ipswich, Porro away to Newcastle. Now, I don't love those fixtures from a defensive point of view, but like, yeah, they're all away for a start. But like,
Mhm.
let's bear in mind, like, yeah, it's Villa against the promoted side who look bad. It's an attacking Robinson against Ipswich, another promoted side. That's an okay fixture. It's Porro against Newcastle. Newcastle haven't been great. Porro can always get an attacking return, right? So that's okay. It's not going to look as good as people who've got City defenders or Arsenal defenders
Yeah.
or Liverpool defenders, but like that's okay, right? Then midfield is Fernandez home at Liverpool, Eze away to Chelsea, Salah away to United, Gibbs White home to Wolves, then Muniz away at Ipswich, Haaland captain at West Ham, and then Isak at Spurs. So like I can't really see an easy option that's
Mhm.
worth like one free transfer or let alone two free transfers that's really going to make my optimize my team, right? So um yeah, obviously I've said I want Trent, but like am I who would I bench from my defense if I was bringing in Trent? Robinson or Porro? Those are okay games, right? So it's not essential, right? So and then do I really want to be getting rid of Fernandez, whose expected goal involvement is over 2 in the first games? And
Yeah, don't-
avoiding like one or two like freak events, you would have had at least one return, right? Do I want to get rid of Fernandez using two free transfers, bringing in someone just unknown like Rogers, right, to accommodate Trent for Porro
yeah.
to bench Porro? Probably not, right? That doesn't feel like a good use of free transfers, right? So I'd like to do it, but it just doesn't feel very sensible, right? Who knows what happens if there's injuries and other opportunities come up, right? So it feels like it's probably best just to roll it. Now, I don't like Henderson. I don't like having no Arsenal defender nor a Liverpool defender. Um, Fernandez and Eze, I just want them to start converting their chances, but like the team is all right.
Yeah, yeah. I take it doesn't worry you at all having Hunter and Barker on your bench like that. You're not bothered.
But why? Why would I?
No, just because
No, no,
otherwise you've only
no,
got one playing
no,
one playing player on it. If you know what I mean, you've only got
no,
Winks. That's
no,
it.
true. I mean, I came across a bit flippant, but like, yeah, Porro, Robinson, Conser, they got good, they got decent fixtures. There's no point me pissing about moving to a 4.0 defender or a 4.4 defender. What I could
Has he
bring in
dropped? Has
Aina.
Quanta dropped down? Has he?
Yeah, I could bring
Yeah.
in Aina, right? But what's the
What a
point?
player, by the way. What a player Reina is.
Uh,
Just to put it out there.
well, would I actually start Aina this game week? Tough,
No.
yeah.
You'll see
No,
my team in a minute, and I think he's on my bench. So no, you wouldn't.
no. So it's like, I mean, there's no point moving them, moving them, right? It's like
Okay.
not going to gain
Just,
gain anything from that. I think that's probably something worth just saying. It's like price changes, price drops. I don't really care. Like some people obsess about it. I've never seen it impact me, right? And like even last year where I had that terrible start and I picked a lot of players who were dropping in prices. I like picked Havertz from game week 1, who obviously came good at the back end of the season, but started it was tough for him. Same with Gabriel. I was like, yeah, losing a lot of money. I was hemorrhaging money. But I think come wildcard times and free hits and stuff, I ended up with a team value that's probably higher than yours or pretty close, right? Like
essentially,
so
I don't know,
I've
can't. Yeah.
never I've never chased kind of price rises and whatnot. And like it's marginal. There's always another player. And like if you're chasing these price rises, like the best you're gonna get is like you're wild carding and is oh my gosh, you can afford a Muniz over a Jao Pedro. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Big
you're not going to
moves.
be able to get Haaland, Isak, and Watkins attack verse, and I'm stuck with like a Muniz. You're not going to suddenly gain 3 million of value by
Yeah.
chasing price drops and price rises, right? So
In-
I don't get it. And there's always other options as well. You can
It's
always spread
interesting
your time.
earlier in the season, isn't it? Because I see a lot of people. You're right. A lot of people obsess about it, and I get it. I see it more earlier because they're like, well, if so, take Aina as the example. He was 4.5. I've got him. He's now dropped to 4.4, and I don't know why, by the way, because he's just got 9 points. But anyway, if I now sell Aina, I can't get a 4.5. I can only get a 4 million.
Yeah, but
because
but
my
like
money's gone. I'm not bothered personally, but I think a
no,
lot of people are obsessed because they're like, well, if it drops by 0.1, I lose 0.5 in theory with my transfer option.
yeah, but like this year more than ever, like you'll have more transfers banked in theory where you can just move two players at once, right? And make
Yeah.
big. You're not messing about with like a 4.5 to a 4.5. You're doing more meaningful moves, right? So it's like, oh my god, I'm moving like my team. I'm downgrading Fernandez to Rogers, and I'm moving Quansah to Trent. Like so, you don't have to
Yeah.
compare like these players like for like, right? That 4.5 is equivalent to 4.5. You can move players in grouped transfers, and that applies for this season more
More
than
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 any
any
other.
season before, right? Because we're going to have more
Yeah.
bank free transfers. So yeah, I don't get that logic. And like, I mean, the health warning there is like, there's people who must have moved Quansah last week when he was benched, right, to
Yeah.
avoid the price drop. They moved Quansah to Dunk, for example, or Conser. And then they had Solanke in their team. And then Solanke was injured until after the international break, and you could have done a more meaningful move there, right? So, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like Quansah can drop down. The annoying thing about Quansah is he's a Liverpool player, right? So that's caused myself a bit of a problem. But like, we're not talking about that. We're talking about price drops, right? You can keep dropping in price. I'm not that fussed, right? And I'm kind of confident that just good picks throughout the season will mean I can gather some value
Yeah.
over
Absolutely.
everyone else. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Robinson goes up in price again this week, or like if he gets a return as Ipswich, he'll go up in price, and then I'll be like, cool, I'm gonna get rid of him because he's
Yeah.
got average fixtures now. So yeah, I don't think many of the top managers chase price rises.
Yeah. 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 Just the price. If you pick the good players, the price rises should come right naturally.
Yeah, like realistically, my team, Isaac, Eze, Fernandez, are probably going to drop because people said they haven't scored points. And like sometimes I put out a thing on X tonight, I'm just tongue in cheek saying I'm getting rid of these players. Like, but obviously is taking the mick a little bit. Like scoring points is obviously important, but like a better predictor of points is like how they're performing based on underlying stats. It's
Yeah.
always been the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
get
like,
that.
I mean, I'm cool. I'm cool right now. So yeah, and like as long as Quansah, Robinson, Pet Porro would like start, I don't if I'm starting them, I don't really mind about Quansah. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Just threw that curveball at you there, pal. I've just seen a lot of chat online about it. But yeah, thank you for going.
I don't get it. Like, I mean, yeah, you very rarely see the top managers like outside of exceptional circumstances doing like an early move.
Yeah.
There's been too many times when
And
people do early moves and it comes back to bite them. I mean,
yeah,
like Fabio Borges is the best manager, right? He would just always do it on like a Saturday morning or Friday night at
yeah.
worst, right?
When you
Like
have the most
Friday,
information, right?
yeah, exactly. This like
Yeah.
information is always king, and information is also waiting an extra week to make a transfer as well. Like especially when it's super early in the season.
Yeah. I
Um,
remember about 8 seasons ago, roughly. I remember which house I was in, so it was no less than 7 seasons ago. I remember I used to do my transfers early, and I remember watching United games when United were good. Again, so it might have been 10 years
yeah,
ago. Watching United, and I bought in of all players, I bought in Phil Jones. So it was when he was playing for them because I was like, their
yeah,
defense looks great. But I was literally watching the game, and I was like, Phil Jones looks great. Bought him in. About 10 minutes after I bought him in, he went out injured, and he missed the next 4 weeks. So that taught me what are you doing. Why are you making these transfers so early? But there you go. There you go. That's just an off cuff thing.
um,
Um,
but yeah, I mean,
yeah.
what would you do with my team?
Thing is, very similar to mine, apart from Bruno, and I've got Trent instead of. I think I've benched Pedro Porro, and I'm playing Trent if I'm not mistaken. I'll find out on the next screen.
Yeah,
So it's,
which is better. Like I'd rather have Trent than Porro, but like, I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
but
but
I've got Jacob Murphy instead of Fernandez at the minute. So that's so mine's a more obvious transfer, right? I wouldn't be selling Fernandez if I were you, based on the stats.
no,
And United show
exactly.
up against Yeah,
And
United could
like
show up against Liverpool.
it's another week to see what happens in that squad. Are they putting a good underlying stats or they get battered? And then they got Southampton away. Then I can, if I really want to sell him as a cash cow, then I can. If I want to make that choice,
Exactly.
but at least I've gone in like consciously and done it.
That's it. I think your starting 11 is sound, and therefore you don't really need to do anything.
Yeah, it's no Arsenal, no Trent, but like I've obviously made that decision really. And I think game week 4 has a bigger fixture swing for teams I don't have. Like
Yeah,
so Gibbs White fixtures become an issue next week. Well, they're not an issue, they're fine, but like yeah,
yeah,
his fixtures go a little bit more like mediocre as the Fulham.
mm,
So like there's some players there I can move on if I want to, right? So I
yeah,
think
yeah,
and who
absolutely.
knows, something big could happen to make it obvious, right? Salah could get injured.
Yeah, hopefully
So
not.
yeah, there's
Don't jinx that one.
nothing urgent. I'll just like wait it out. And I think that'll be a
No problem.
technique throughout the year.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm slightly different in the sense that I'm really unhappy with a particular player. So much so I'm playing a
You're
back
benching
four by the
Porro
looks of it.
over Robinson and Concert.
This won't be my full team, mate. Don't you worry about that. There is going to be me. There is going to be some transfers made.
Yeah.
I say some, one. So yeah, I'm on two free transfers. So Henderson. I've started with him. I'm not going to change him. I don't like making goalkeeper changes. I'm
Yeah.
stuck with him. I'm not happy with his fixture or his performances, but it is what it is. My back four at the minute. So Robinson playing Ipswich. Trent, I'm obviously going to play regardless of his fixture, but he's away at United.
Mhm.
At home to Wolves. I think Wolves are all right. I think Wolves will probably score in that game, so I'll probably end up benching him. And then Concert away at Leicester. Villa start a nice run of fixtures. Eze, Salah, Gibbs, White across the midfield. Haaland with the captaincy armband and away at West Ham. And then Muniz and Isaac. Murphy's on the bench, but he's the one that I think I can make an improvement. Now I'll put ESR. Smith Rowe, I can't afford him anymore because Murphy's dropped. I can afford Rodgers, and I think long-term fixtures. We were chatting last night. Long-term fixtures, Rodgers is the better option anyway.
Yeah, Rogers better
So
option. Yeah, agree.
I see that as being my. I could just bench. I could just bench him and play a back four. But you know me, man. You know me. I like attacking players in FPL. I don't like
No,
playing a back
no,
four
I
unless I've got like two Arsenal defenders like last season, and it's dead obvious. But with these defenders, I don't want to play a back four, so I will likely attack and therefore sell Murphy for Rodgers, and then I'll probably end up benching Aina. So I'll play Robinson, Trent, and Konsa, and then yeah, Rodgers
you
will go on the pitch.
yeah, you have a real benching problem this week, right? So you didn't plan ahead enough. Like I have plans that Quanta can just be on my bench permanently and bar.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Yeah, I'd move Murphy to Rogers. No regrets. You're saving a bit of cash, and like yeah, he's got Leicester, right? So there's that upside opportunity, right? So what's the worst that can
Yeah,
happen? Not a lot. You can just be a bench player if he becomes a problem. You do have a
yeah,
benching issue, like really, because obviously, yeah, Trent is clear. Concert,
yeah.
Aina, Robinson, and Porra. I think they're all in the same bracket in
Jesus.
terms of. If I was thinking about how much points I would expect them to score, it's super close. That's going to be a
I
tough
think
one.
I'm
I'd say
I'm I'm
Concert is
starting
probably.
Robinson. I'm
Oh,
starting Robinson,
yeah. Why?
definitely. Why? Well, he's
He's
playing in a promoted team.
yeah.
He's got an attack and return potential. So
How much
that for
potential?
me. So for example, well, he got an assist in the last game. I think he's a much better attacking option than Aina, as an example. And I think Wolves are a better team than Ipswich. So I'm playing Robinson over Aina.
But what about
So I'll probably
Spurs and Porro just being better, a better player and better team by some margin?
better than Fulham. Spurs are shit. No. Um,
I mean,
I
I
could
obviously
bench
started the
Costa.
season with Robinson, as did you, but there's a bit of ridiculous hype now. Just I see he got like a random lucky assist.
I like Robinson. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. But you're right. Your point is, I've got five defenders, and I could play any three of them. Well, I mean Trent definitely, but any two of the other four. I'll tell you now. In my
Porro's
head, I'm
underlying
playing
stats have
Robinson.
been expected goal involvement has been better than Robinson in both his games.
I say,
Yeah.
damn you, Porro. Damn you, Porro. I think I do like Newcastle at home. I know they got Shah sent off, which didn't really help. I'm basing this on last season. I think he's got less chance of a clean sheet.
Yeah, marginally. I don't think Fulham are
Yeah.
a great defense. Like their best player obviously was sold to, but they had a Bayern Munich central midfielder last year. Their defense wasn't great there.
Oh, they did just buy Robinson from Palace,
They
so
got
you know,
Anderson in there now. Yeah.
Anderson even Anderson. Sorry, so
Leno was a decent keeper. Yeah. Anyway, we're kind of rambling now, aren't we? We would have been close
yeah.
to
But I get your
one.
points. There's a headache. There's a headache.
Yeah.
But I like having my bench stacked. I know we play that slightly differently. I like a bench where I've got, which is why I didn't start with a 4 million defender as an example. It's like I like having options,
I
which
think
does sometimes come to my detriment.
I think just consider who your defenders are really. I think obviously Alexander-Arnold is a no-brainer. I think Konsa probably feels like a no-brainer just of the quality of the team he's playing and the quality of the team he plays in. Aina, Robinson, Porro, I think that's a bit of a toss-up.
One Robinson right now.
Okay.
Pedro Porro first bench. We'll see what comes up next week, but that's where I'm at presently. But you agree, Murphy's the issue.
Yeah.
Rodgers is an easy buy.
I think there's no regrets there. Like you're gonna want to move Murphy this week or next week, and it's the perfect week to do it when Rodgers is playing Leicester and it's before Champions League. He's going to play, right? So might as well be there. And like this happens, like people sometimes they just get these pathways opened. Like a lot of pretty much a good proportion of the FPL community will be moving Nkunku to Rodgers. I mean, there's a few other options as well, like Gibbs White being one of them. But yeah, that's a good move. And I hate to say, you could see it pay off in the first game week of that move, which I'd hate to see. Obviously, as a non-owner, but you wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, I'd be quite annoyed at that Nkunku kind of pick has led to this kind of pathway. But like, yeah, it's a no regrets activity. Good player, good team. He'll play as Leicester like. So yeah, that's like so obvious.
Yeah. And then I'll 100%, if that's what I do, as long as there's no other injury news or whatever, I'll be rolling the other one.
Yeah,
I won't be doing anything else.
No, there's nothing you can. There's nothing you can do to make that team better.
Well, there you go. Good to hear. Good to hear. And although we are 32 minutes and 48 seconds behind the time we wanted to take, there we come to the end. And I think this looks pretty good with the new logo. I like this page. I like the logo. It's a little bit more clean than the last one. But I've also updated our Twitter handle. So if you are following us, you'll probably see the new name FPL Apprentice. If you're not, then why are you not? Get on there, get following us. FPL_Apprentice1 or FPL Apprentice should come up. Same with YouTube as well. YouTube.com/@FPL Apprentice. But Matt, thank you for your time as always. It's good to hear that you're enjoying the season so far. Are you like me? You're annoyed that there's only one game week and then we're on to an international break?
I think it should be well. It depends on how you finish, right? If you've done okay before the international break, it's actually frustrating, right? Because then it's like you want to keep momentum. If you do poorly, it's like, hey, it's cool to have a break. I think, for me, I think it'll be probably cool whatever happens because, like, I should, in theory, have 3 transfers going in, so I can just like sit back and relax whilst players get injured on international duty, and then I can just react to them. So, yeah, I think I think it'll be good to have that little break, and we can kind of reassess, and then the transfer window will be shut as well, so we can properly reassess our teams. And I think a few people will be playing around with wildcards, right? A few people have targeted this game week 4 window as a wildcard. So yeah, it'll be pretty interesting. But yeah,
I won't sign us up to anything here, but I'm assuming next week we'll meet up just to review game week 3, and then because there's no football or no Premier League, the week after we'll meet up just to review game week 4 and show our teams. But it might be interesting if going into that one, So in 2 weeks' time, we both come with a. If we were wildcarding that game week, who would we have? That might be an interesting thing to do. I'm not signing us up for it just yet.
I think people can probably join the dots based on what we were sharing, right? It'd be like
Probably. Yeah.
it'd be like
Give
no
Brighton
Arsenal,
players, Villa players, Liverpool players.
yeah, some Brentford players, probably, yeah, no Arsenal players, and then you're gonna have to have a plan to bring them back in for game week 6. So it's kind of the reverse of the approach we're taking, really.
Yeah. Yeah. But don't put a spot, mate. I'll catch up with you next week at some point. Until then, best of luck for game week 3, and we'll see where we're at when we pick back up at some point in the next 7 days or so.
I hope good luck to you. I hope your journey as a Rogers owner is an easy one. I hope he eases you in within 90 minutes next week, and then game week 4 you can start smashing it in.
Yeah, so that's when you'll have them. We'll have them get a brace this week just before you jump on the bandwagon.
I would hate that after that Nkunku kind of move has gotten out like that. No way.
You know what? They're the sort of things that do happen. So,
no, I'm ready. I'm ready and prepped for that. So,
if it helps you though, I'm not going from Nkunku to him. So, although Murphy's probably just as bad. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
But
I appreciate your time, mate.
Both fine picks in it. Both were fine picks in it.
Yeah.
Like, we can't look at things in hindsight.
Yeah, appreciate your time, mate. And thank you to the listener as well for joining us. Appreciate your time. As always, if you are giving us a subscribe, thank you very much. If you're not, please do. It is free. It shows support and does help us out. And if this is your first episode with us, appreciate we got some new ones last time. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for those that have followed us all the way through. Remember, join our league. Best of luck for game week 3 ahead. And we will catch up with you during the international break to review it and chat about game week 4. Until then, all the very best.